Hello, and welcome to East Africa NGO. I am your host, Patrick Hill. This podcast is sponsored by Team in Faith, supporting women, orphans, and vulnerable children in Uganda and elsewhere in East Africa since 2012. Today, I want you to meet Marial. He lives with his family in South Sudan, where he works at improving lives for his countrymen and women. I met Macaire in Nairobi in 2012, just a year after South Sudan gained its independence following the Second Sudanese Civil War. Macaire came of age during that war. His family and village were attacked, friends and relatives killed, and he began a long process to rebuild his shattered life. He has written a memoir of his experience. It is shocking, it is amazing, and it is wonderful. We had a conversation recently where we talked about the incredible events in his life. Joining me from Juba, South Sudan, via Skype is my friend and author, Macaire Marial. Macaire Ekade.
Kim Crouch, how are you doing?
I am doing very well. Good to talk with you. Happy Independence Day in South Sudan today.
Thank you so much. Happy Independence.
How are your neighbors and citizens around South Sudan celebrating this special day?
People have been celebrating this special day. People went to church in the morning. Some people went to town to dance. There are cultural dances everywhere in towns. And some families just go out, for dinner. And this is how people just celebrate it. Even those things are difficult in the country right now.
This is meaningful for you to have, independence and the end of the Second Civil War in South Sudan in 2011 on this day, the 9th of July, 2011. Your life, as you write about in your new memoir, was turned upside down, sideways because of the Civil War, and your family was attacked. What do you remember about those days before the Civil War as you were a young boy? What do you remember about your earliest days in Sudan?
What I remember about the early days in Sudan before the war was the life that we enjoyed in our village. In the village, we had a good life, even though we didn't have necessities. Someone in town could have. We had a life. We were keeping our animal livestock. People were farming. People were living at peace with each other. However, beginning of the war, all that changed, and it changed some other people's life forever.
Yeah, you write that as a young boy, your mother would tell you stories of the earlier troubles in Sudan, and your father also told you stories of his time in Akut. What can you tell us about those moments with your parents and hearing the traditions?
When my mom and my dad, told us the stories of the first Civil War, between 50s, 1970s, this war was really bad. They told us the stories of how their villages were being attacked by both the government and the rebels, and their life was shattered everywhere in every village. They were being attacked by both parties, those who were involved in the fighting, and their life was difficult. These were the stories that they were telling us, and they were saying that they would not want another war to happen again. When they heard that, people were trying to prepare for another war, they were not happy when they heard about all those. They thought that, another war would be destructive to the villages, to everyone, the communities, and it happened. When the Civil War started in 1983, it affected so many people.
That's really something that your parents would tell you and warn you about what happened in the past and what could happen in the future. And then, sure enough, you experienced it for yourself. And that is one of the most dramatic, sections of your story and of the book, just to read about the upheaval and the terror that you experienced as such a young person, the years and years of struggle you had afterwards.
What I remember is that, when we were in the village, the people were telling us that, there was fighting. The rebel from South Sudan were fighting with the Arab from the north. But we thought that those were just rumors from the village. We were not aware that it would actually reach our village. Until that night, when we were, out, where like in the village, we would gather in one place and play at night. And after when people, dispersed, everyone would go home. So we joined this play at night and we went home. And suddenly, early in the morning, our village came under attack. And from that day, the life was shattered. So I was separated from the rest of the family, as everyone has. And from that day, I had to walk for days, and days became weeks, and weeks became months, and months became years, and years became even decades. So I could not come home until God prepared for me to return home and be reunited with my family. In all these journeys, it was not easy because we were. Sometimes we would starve. There were no food. We would be attacked by wild animals. We would be attacked by even the government and militia, and we would try to walk until we arrive in the refugee camp. So these were the challenges that we were facing along the way. Sometimes we could run out of water, and some people, uh, could die because of dehydration.
I mean, it was thousands of miles from where you were in Sudan to cross the country and then go into Ethiopia and Kenya to find some sort of protection from these refugee camps. And it took months. All the while, you had no idea where your family was, if you would ever see them again. Was that the focus for you as you were wandering through the countryside? You had a hope of being reconciled with
Yes,
survivors of your family.
yes, that was the only hope, and this was that kept me alive and kept me motivated to keep on walking, because I was hoping that wherever I was going with these people, my family might be there. That was the only hope. So when I arrived in this place, I could not even find them. But at least I survived the most difficult journey, and I waited until another journey started again. Another difficult journey.
Was there anything positive from being in that refugee center with thousands of your countrymen?
The only positive things about Kakuma when we arrived there was that we were out of danger, because the government of Sudan could not attack us because we were in another country, in Kenya. And also in Kenya, there was no political unrest because the government was at peace. And that gave us opportunity to go to school and try to, to organize ourselves and be, some people were going to school, were learning, even though we did not have our families with us. We were trying to live like a normal life, but there were still some challenges. In Kakuma, there was so many challenges because sometimes, people would get sick. There was always not enough food in the camp, and there were always intercommunal violence, and also, the host community was also having problem with the refugees. So there were so many challenges, but at least the government of Sudan was not able to reach where we were. So that's the only thing that I thought was the positive side of being in Kakuma refugee camp.
But your problem wasn't just facing violence from the government of Sudan, the Northerners. I mean, as you described, you were also finding yourself under attack from the rebels of the South. You were caught in the middle. That must have just been just a terrible situation.
Yes, these people actually they were not the rebel, but they were the militias, the militia that were armed by the government of Sudan to actually be fighting, the rebel in the south. So these people were also attacking us when we were walking on the, on the road. So they would ambush people, they would attack people and kill people. Sometimes they would even kidnap people. So these were actually Sudan government allies militias from the source that were trained and armed by the Sudanese government to be attacking people from the source, even though they were South Sudanese themselves.
Amazing. So it took you 5 years, you write, to get from Sudan to Kakuma.
Yes, because when we were displaced from South Sudan and we had to walk to a refugee camp in Ethiopia, we were there for some years, and then in 1991 there was another problem between the Ethiopian government and the rebels from Ethiopia. They were fighting, and the government was overthrown. So we had to run. We had to leave the country. So while walking, going back to South Sudan, we were facing so many challenges. We were being attacked. Some people were getting killed. Coming like that to South Sudan, we were also facing the challenge of food shortages. There was no water. So when we had to walk, so this took us even like almost some month to arrive in Kenya, in the border of Kenya. So when we arrived there, that's when we got some peace. But it took us, that period between the time that I left home to that period, it about 5 years.
Tell us how you came to be selected as part of the resettlement program in the USA.
So what happened was that, in 1998, this is when this process started. So some of our what they call caretakers, who were in charge of these young boys, the minor groups, were registering people and saying that now the U.S. government is preparing you to go to U.S. But we thought that they were just playing. They were registering people. You come with your name, they registered your name, and then they give the list. They gave the list to the UNHCR. And few months later, we saw some people, from the U.S. coming to the camp and giving us advice on how to do our interviews. That's how it began, and suddenly everybody was getting interviewed. So I happened to be one of the people, selected for that program. They asked me, "How old are you?" And I told them that I told them that I did not know my age. They said, "Okay, now January 1st is your date of birth from today." So I told them that I was born some time between 1978, but I did not know the date. And they said, "Okay, now your date will be January 1st, 1978." So that's how they gave me the new the date of birth, which I didn't have. Like here in when we were born in the village, people did not care about date of birth. You were born, and giving the event that happened, that's when they, you know, they tell you were born this year when did something happen. Let's say, for example, the children that were born during the independence would be told that you were born when South Sudan became an independent country. So that's what they were telling us. They were telling us that, you were born during the events.
Having been to Africa, many times, I can agree with you and share with our listeners that from a Western perspective, birthdays are celebrated annually, but in Africa, it's just another day, and they are typically not celebrated. And it's
Yes.
amusing. It's amusing to see the difference, because over here, we make a big festival out of it, a big celebration. But in Africa, it's just another day.
It's just another day. Yeah, people don't care about the birthdays.
You are interviewed, and somehow you are selected to be resettled into America, and you are sent to Richmond, Virginia. Now, how did that happen? How was it that you were going to Richmond and not Chicago or some other community?
I think what happened was that, when we were interviewed, first interview started with the UNHCR to prepare you for, if you pass, they send you to the U.S. government to arrange for your interview. So that's what they did. The UNHCR interviewed us and then gave us to the U.S. Immigration official for the interview. After we were accepted, I think what they did was that they found the agency in the U.S., the refugee resettlement agencies in the U.S. to accept a number of people to take in. So we were accepted by Refugee and Migration in Richmond, Virginia. That's why we ended up in Richmond, Virginia. Some of us were taken by different agencies within Virginia and different states in the U.S. You know what happened when we arrived in Richmond, Virginia? We arrived under what they call the major age. The major age is someone above 18 and above. So when I arrived there, I was 22 years old. We were six. There were six of us. Three of us were underage, and three of us were, the major age. So what they did was that they took those whom they considered the major age for independent living, and those who were underage were taken to boys' home in Petersburg, Virginia. So they were placed there for, so that some people could take care of them. But for us, we were taken to a place called Midlothian, Virginia, and placed in a house, a very big house, in in a white neighborhood.
In a white neighborhood with electricity and switches to turn lights on and off. Maybe you had air conditioning. Maybe you had a heater. I don't know. But was that a culture shock right there? How shocking was it for you,
a house,
as a Sudanese, to be living in a house in America?
It was something strange for us. The house was big. The neighborhood was quiet, and we arrived at night. I think we arrived at sometime at around 10 at night. So when we arrived, we were shown quickly how to turn on the light, the stove, to flush the toilets. Everything was quick. And these volunteers from refugees and immigration left, and we were left in the house alone. So their night was rough. We were, afraid. We thought that, maybe would be attacked by criminals. There were drink thing happening. And to make things worse, at night, an alarm clock went up. and it was making noise, and we thought that our house was on fire. So we had to race from our bedroom to living room. It was frightening. We were afraid. We thought that the house was on fire because we were told that, like in the U.S. during cultural orientation, that the houses were equipped with smoke detectors, and if there's any smoke in the house, the smoke detector could make sound. And when you hear that sound, you have to race to run outside and make sure that you are safe. So that's what happened.
How long afterwards, before you met Jennifer and Daryl Ernst in
Yeah.
Richmond, Virginia, that was a meeting that would forever change the course of your life, I think.
I met Jennifer and Daryl, especially the first person I met was Jennifer, because I met Jennifer at one of the apartments for South Sudanese whom they were supporting. So I was there that afternoon when she came. So she came and saw me sitting on a sofa, and then she started asking me who I was and where did I come from. So I told her that I came from Kenya, or one of the Lost Boys, and that's when she started to hear about this. So she asked me a lot about it, and then that was our first meeting. The second meeting was when she was with her husband. They came to go to the airport to pick another refugee who was coming from Egypt. So they invited me to go with them. I went with them. And then from there, when we returned, they invited me to go to church with them, to their church. So, and that was Saturday. On Sunday, I went to their church. So from there, that's how we began to become friends. So I was going to the church with them together. They started inviting me to their house for dinner. And also she was inviting even my roommates, myself and my roommate, to have dinner with them in the houses. So this is how we began to have relationship, friendship.
And your relationship grew and deepened, you know, every week, every month for years thereafter.
Yes, for years until 2005 when we came home. In 2005, they actually brought me to South Sudan so that I be reunited with my family. So it was beautiful. We met, my parents, my siblings, the members of my community, and everybody was so excited to see me back in the community.
Well, that must have been one of the greatest days of your life then.
Yes, yes. I never thought that day would actually, happen.
Your relationship with Jennifer and Daryl has helped spawn an NGO in America, Hope for Humanity, which later constructed a wonderful secondary school in Lakes District in Atiaba, Hope and Resurrection Secondary School. How was the idea formulated to work together to put a school on the ground to benefit your cousins, your brothers and sisters in South Sudan?
I think the first thing when we arrived in the U.S., our first thing was, when you ask us, how can we help you? We would say, oh, we want education. We want to go to school. And people said, why would you want to go to school? And would say, you know, uh, most people in South Sudan, especially most part of South Sudan, was neglected. Was neglected even during British colonial rule. The South Sudanese were not even given opportunity for education. And then the war did not allow people to go to school. Our parents and everybody in the community did not have a chance to go to school. So the American heard about this, and they were interested in trying to change that situation. So in 2004, Jennifer came to Africa. She went to refugee camp in Kakuma, and also she went to Uganda. So when she went there, she also had the same, and she was even able to meet with my brothers. So when she returned to US, she was able to send my brothers to school and also found sponsors for other students. So that's how it began. And then we were using the church to raise the money. And then the church asked us, because the money that was coming in was a lot. They said, oh, now you have to either stop raising fund or find a place where you can, have this program. So Jennifer and I decided that, it would be better for us to form our own NGO. And that's when we came up with this idea of Hope for Humanity. Hope for Humanity was actually designed, was created to give us opportunity to raise money and send South Sudanese to school. That's how it began. And then from there, gradually, after 2005, when we returned, we went back to US and raised money to build a second school called Hope and Resurrection Secondary School in Atiaba, so that more students would get opportunity for quality education in South Sudan. That's how it began. Because when we were giving scholarship, we were giving scholarship to about 30 to 40 students, which was not enough. And we thought that, it would be better for us to build a school in South Sudan so that more students get quality education at home, and we would bring qualified teachers from outside, such as Kenya or Uganda, so that these students get quality education at home.
That really is a fantastic story. And it has changed your life. It has changed lives of others who have attended that school, which has been an excellent performer of secondary schools in South Sudan. You are paying it forward, helping future generations of Sudanese get educated when you were not. But you had a great opportunity working with Jennifer and Daryl, the church, and the NGO to make a difference in the lives of those who came after you.
And what the amazing thing is that, those whom we helped are now working hard to change this country. Among our former students, we have lawyers, we have doctors, we have MPs, members of parliament, and these are our students. And when I see every day, I see them, I feel proud. And one of the amazing things happened, and I really appreciate the support that I get from from my American friend, is that one of our students who graduated from Hope and Resurrection Secondary School and got a scholarship to go and study in Ethiopia, came back, and he became, an important person fighting to save so many lives during coronavirus in South Sudan.
Your experience, Macaire, included working in America, being educated in America, getting a degree, and then also working for the Virginia legislature. Now, for me, my experience in America, in California, working for the state government is one thing, but for you to come from where you were as a child, resettled, traumatized by war perhaps, to end up in government in Virginia is just nothing short of incredible. Give us a view of what that experience was like for you to be working in the state capitol with a suit on every day, helping conduct the people's business there.
Thank you, Patrick. I think this was an amazing thing that happened to me. Because when I was at BCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, I became close to one of my professors called Nelson Wickscombe, who was my political science professor. And, he was happy to see me in his class and he was trying to help me. So when I graduated in 2007, he was trying by all means for me to get a better job. So one day he asked me, he said, what I wanted to do. And I told him that I wanted to be work in the, to find a job with the government. So he gave me a telephone number and I contacted one of his friends. And that friend connected me with with the Senate clerk office. So I was asked to send a letter. I drafted the letter and sent it to them. So from there, they called me for interview. And they gave me, a position as a staff assistant. So I worked there as a staff assistant. That just I was going there like intern. And that, took me 4 years. I was there working in the Senate chamber. It was amazing. I couldn't believe that, someone like myself could get a job in such an important place.
Wonderful story. It's just a fantastic story. So currently you have U.S. citizenship and a passport, correct?
Yes.
So you are a dual citizen because you maintain your South Sudanese citizenship and you have a South Sudan passport. You are very fortunate. You understand that. You are very fortunate.
Thank you.
God
Yes.
has looked favorably upon you.
Yes, even my kid here have been given their U.S. passport. They are both South Sudanese as well as Americans.
Well, congratulations to them. It's a great benefit.
Thank you.
So tell us now about your family. I've met you and your wife in Nairobi. Angelina, tell me about those relationships and how your children are doing.
Thank you so much. My family has now grown since we met in 2012. I think we met in 2012 in Nairobi when I came from the U.S. and you were coming from South Sudan, where you visited Second Secondary School. So by that time, and now my family has grown. Now we have 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, and they are now going in school. So the family has grown, and we are here in South Sudan. We are living in South Sudan.
And you and I have met in Kampala, in the capital of Uganda, and you have seen and held my daughter.
It was 2019. I met your daughter when she was I think that she was 2 years old by that time. And she was living with her maternal relative. And you came from the U.S. to visit her with a plan to take her with you back to U.S. So when I had traveled from here to Kampala so that we could meet there. So it was an amazing thing to meet your daughter. And, we had that great picture and we will keep it. We share with your daughter. And I think she still remember me when we met there.
Of course. And someday you'll be reunited and someday I'll be able to greet your children.
Yes. So we'll plan to be, for a reunion very soon. I don't know when, but it will be very soon.
Marial, I want to thank you for this time we have shared today. Again, this is Independence Day. We are recording this on July 9, 2023, which is Independence Day in South Sudan. It's Sunday evening where you are. It's Sunday midday here in Seattle, USA. But it's been great to talk with you. I wish you all the best with your book. And I think listeners of this, again, if they wish to read all of the details, you and I have just sort of skimmed over the surface of your life story, but all of the details can be found in the book Coming Home on a Known Road, a Sudanese refugee's journey from war to progress. It's available at Amazon in paperback or even on Kindle. So once again, thank you, Macaire, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you so much for your support. Without your support, that book would have not happened, because when we met in Nairobi and we talked, and you responded saying that, oh, you need to write a book, I think that motivated me a lot, because I never thought that I would be able to write the book. But with your motivation, I was able to make this happen. Thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for your support, especially today. As you said earlier, it is an Independent Day. We are celebrating, and I think this day is an important day for this interview, because what we went through, when people were fighting here in Sudan, or now South Sudan, it was because the South Sudanese wanted to be free. But now they are free. What we are celebrating today is 12th anniversary of independence of South Sudan. South Sudan is an independent country. It has been independent for 12 years, which is really good. So thank you so much. I'm glad that I'm back home trying to help, my people. And, I've been working for NGOs, for international NGOs, supporting the communities, delivering humanitarian aid to affected communities. So, and I'm very proud. I'm happy that I could go to US, get an education, return home, and help my people. And thank you so much for your support. And, I hope this message could reach so many people. We need that support so that we can continue here in South Sudan to deliver humanitarian aid to the needy. Thank you.
That was Macaire Marial, a former Lost Boy of Sudan who survived a harrowing journey from South Sudan to Ethiopia and Kenya before he was resettled in the U.S., where relationships flourished and doors opened. We spoke today of his memoir called Coming Home on a Known Road, a Sudanese refugee's journey from war to progress. You can find this book in paperback or Kindle version on Amazon.com and at IngramSpark.com. Thank you for listening today. This program is sponsored by Team in Faith, lifting lives and raising hopes in Uganda and elsewhere in East Africa since 2012. If you are able and interested, make a donation to support our projects involving women, orphans, and vulnerable children. Visit our website at teaminfaith.org. I'll be back again soon to introduce you to another organization that is helping our brothers and sisters in East Africa. For East Africa NGO, I'm Patrick Hill.